Welcome to r/am I the a-hole, where OP calls his wife's disabled sister a leech. Am I the a-hole for telling my wife to stop being a pushover, or I would take away her spending privileges? My wife, 25 female of 5 years, has a sister, 20 female. She's somewhat disabled, and while this may sound contradictory, she has a condition which makes working difficult, but not entirely impossible unless she is under stress. Neurological condition, loses muscle control, makes her hit/throw stuff, fall over. I have no problem with her sister. She is sweet and nice to have around. My wife loves her more than anything. She basically raised her and stepped in when her parents wouldn't or couldn't. This has led to a relationship closer to mother-daughter. My wife would constantly be paying for stuff for her sister, and this made sense to me when she was a minor and was doing much worse health-wise. Recently though, this has increasingly been getting under my skin. I am the sole provider for my household right now since my wife was pregnant and only gave birth recently. We'd spend a lot to buy her sister gifts for holidays, which she would never return the favor, even with something cheap with thought or no thought put into them. We'd always take her out to events or dinner and pay for her every time. She would never even pick up the bill for herself. Again, wasn't entirely an issue until she became an adult, and now I'm fed up with it. She expects my sister to do things like pay for her to go to the doctor or invites us out to lunch and then expects us to pay. She doesn't even schedule her own appointments. My wife takes her wherever she asks, even if she has the ability to do so herself, and we live 45 minutes away. She always talks about how she's freelancing and is making money, but then somehow has no money whenever she needs or wants anything. I did not have an issue with this either, really. I thought my wife was being a pushover, but it's ultimately her money until recently. Now she's spending my money on her, and it's getting me angry. I want to spend my money on my daughter, but we're spending money on this financially irresponsible leech. I explained this to my wife in a much nicer way, but we ended up in a fight where I called her sister some pretty messed up things. I ended the conversation by telling her I would take away her access to our joint bank account until she contributes again if she doesn't tell her sister to grow up and that she is not her mother and she is no longer a child. She cannot be dependent on people forever. I think it's an important lesson for her to learn. If she doesn't learn it, my wife can get back to work and continue supporting her until she's 40 with her own money, not mine. She honestly thinks this is an end of the world situation. I think it's quite clear this is for the better. I think she's scared of hurting her sister, but at this point she's crippling her by allowing her to do nothing. This one would almost be not the a-hole, but I think the way he's delivering this information, as well as the things that he said about the sister, make him the a-hole. Definitely spot on with everything he's saying about the sister. If she doesn't learn eventually that she needs to support herself and can't just go to the sister, she's never gonna learn and they're gonna be supporting her forever. But he lost a lot of high ground based off of the things he was saying. His delivery's not that great either. Like, this is definitely not a one conversation and done type of thing. This is something that you talk about for a couple of weeks and present your arguments and maybe bring the sister into the conversation as well. Very much not a huge fan that he threatened to pull her access to the joint bank accounts. I think that's just like a power trip. Kind of has a weird traditional husband-wife dynamic. I absolutely don't like that. Anyways, to wrap it in a nice bow, I would go with everyone sucks here. The sister needs to at least somewhat support herself. The wife needs to learn that it is not her responsibility, nor should she be enabling the sister to be doing these types of things. And then OP needs to be nicer, more understanding, less on a power trip. I've said it once and I'll say it again. My opinions could be wrong on this post or any post that I do. Always want to hear your opinions, whether you agree or disagree, in the comments below for this post or any other post that I ever read. Am I the a-hole for stealing my sister's in-laws? I always thought my sister, 27 female, and I, 25 male, had a decently close relationship until a few years ago when it came out that she thought of me as a golden child. She held resentment towards me for things I just looked at as the typical, more lax treatment of the younger child in a family. I honestly thought the whole thing was pretty silly, especially since we were both years out of being living under our parents' roof at this point, so we went a little while without talking. We saw each other at family events, but didn't really speak. I was invited to her engagement party as a form of an olive branch extension. It was there I met her future husband's younger brother, and we immediately got along. The two of us got to know each other and spent about a year as friends before making things official around 1 month before my sister's wedding. I love his family so much. His parents are warm and inviting in a way that feels so genuine, even before I was introduced as a significant other. I was the first person he ever brought home to meet them, and they made me feel like part of the family immediately. Their youngest brother has been equally as welcoming and regularly schools me in Overwatch 2 by staying alive far longer than I ever could. When I told my sister this, thinking it was something we could bond over, she was angry again. Apparently, she didn't receive the same treatment. This resulted in a big argument, which led to her saying something to the effect of, "I guess this is what happens when two golden children get together." I pushed back against this, and it further devolved with her pointing out that out of all the people in the world, she couldn't believe I had chosen her husband's brother. She said I had stolen opportunities from her growing up, and now I was stealing her in-laws. I considered telling my partner's parents about this at one point to let them know the animosity my sister apparently holds towards them, but I decided against it. I really don't know where I stand in this conflict, and at this point, I'd just like some outside perspective. Most people on this thread were calling him an a-hole. I don't see it. Not gonna lie, I do think it's a little weird that you're dating your sister's husband's brother, because in a few months you guys are gonna be like family. I don't know. I mean, I guess there's nothing technically wrong, but it's weird. Like, I'm trying to think if I dated my sister's boyfriend's sister. Yeah, that would be weird. Clearly, the older sister is extremely jealous of this golden child syndrome, which I wouldn't chalk it up to golden child. I would just chalk it up to baby of the family. Anyone who has siblings and they were not the baby of the family knows exactly what I'm talking about. Further, she's resenting OP for something he had no control over. It's not like he, as a young kid, could tell his parents to not treat him like that. I think the sister's just deeply insecure and somewhat jealous that he has a better relationship with the in-laws than she does, and that might be her fault. The only part in this that I think OP is a-hole for, even a little bit, is thinking about telling the in-laws that the sister feels this way, but I don't think that's enough to label him as the a-hole of this entire thread. People on this thread were saying that just because of that, he was an a-hole. I don't really think so. I think that's just a product of youngest child syndrome. I feel like if you have a baby in the family, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Am I the a-hole for grounding my daughter after she called me a liar? My husband, male 47, and I, female 40, are getting divorced. We have 3 kids together: Amelia, female 17, male 15, and male 4. When my husband and I met, we were both married to other people. He was my ex's husband's co-worker. We met in one of their company parties. We hit it off and we had an affair before we got divorced to start dating. Amelia was born shortly after we got divorced. We never felt like we should tell all this to our kids when they were growing up, mainly because they were too young. Neither him or I had kids with our exes, so we just threw away our wedding photos and pretended neither of those marriages happened. When/if the kids asked how we met, we told them it was through common friends. Well, now that we're getting divorced, Amelia's picked her dad's side. I can't really stop her from seeing him whenever she wants because our custody agreement is not over yet, so she often goes to his house after school/spends the weekends with him. He told her the truth. He's trying to get her to believe that I'm wrong in all of this, although all I'm doing is supporting my son. He's trying to get her against me and against her brother. To fill in the blank a little bit here, OP added an edit at the end that says, "Our oldest son came out as trans. His dad isn't supportive at all, quite the opposite. That's why we're getting divorced. He's trying to get Amelia against her brother." He told her that he has always wanted to tell them the truth, but I didn't allow it since it would make me look bad. That's obviously a lie, but Amelia believed him. When she came back home, she started arguing with me about why I never told her the truth. She called me a lying. I tried to explain to her the truth and what her dad is trying to do. She told me she never wants to see me again and such. I got sick of that and grounded her. I took her phone and sent her to her room. This morning, she wasn't talking to me. All she told me is that she hates me and will try to leave to live with her dad. My coworker thinks I was an a-hole for grounding her. She's a confused teenager. This is a hard one because I want to stay objective here. Like, obviously the husband is clearly an a-hole, not only for the lie, but also for being transphobic. I do not support or stand with that that at all. But just because I don't like the dad, I can't cut OP slack because I think they're in the wrong in a lot of ways. And the daughter's in the wrong in a lot of ways. I think I'm going to go with an everyone sucks here. In this situation, I think it's extremely disrespectful for the daughter to call her mother a lying. There are very few circumstances where I think it's okay to call your parents something like that. So completely discounting everything else, I think Amelie should have been punished for her behavior, but then factoring in the situation and how delicate it is, I don't think it was the right move to ground her and take away her phone. That's not how you're gonna build the bridge and get the truth to the surface. That's just gonna give her more of a reason to take her dad's side. I think OP had every right to ground their daughter. Was it smart for the situation and preserving their relationship? Probably not. But OP is sleeping in the bed that they made. From the start, they should have never lied about how their relationship came about. If anything, they should have used it as a learning experience, whether it was unhappy marriage and the signs of it, or just saying, hey, we know that this started from this, but it's definitely not okay. Because at the end of the day, that's gonna rock anybody's world. If my parents even told me now at the age of 25 that that's how they got together, I'd be like, whoa. Being able to process it and talk about it with them would have been way more valuable. Like I said, I'm gonna go with everyone sucks here, but I wanna know what you think in the comments below. And hey, if you've made it to this point in the video, probably means you're enjoying it. Would love it if you hit that subscribe button. I come out with videos every Monday and Wednesday for you to enjoy. Am I the a-hole for not paying my daughter's rent anymore due to her jealousy towards her sister? I, 43 female, have a 22 Sam and 14 Kathy-year-old daughters. Our family was dirt poor as Sam was growing up. It was a bad time overall. We knew something needed to change when Sam was 8, so I went to college at night. We could only afford a few classes a semester, so it took longer than 4 years. I finally graduated when Sam was 14, but we were still poor even with the new, much better job due to debt. When she was 18, it finally got a lot better. I got really lucky and ended up in a high demand field. We went from struggle for food on the table to could go on vacation twice a year without problems. Kathy was 10 when we were much more stable, so her and Sam's childhoods are a lot different. Kathy can go to a nice school, while Sam's school was a shit inner city public school. I don't have to buy from thrift stores anymore. She has an iPhone and so on. Now I pay for Sam to go to college without any debt. She comes on all family vacations for free. I pay her apartment rent and so on. The problem is Sam is so jealous of her sister. The school is taking people on a trip to DC, and that's where all this came to a head. Sam yelled at her sister about how she is a spoiled brat and told me I should treat her the same way she was growing up. We got into a big argument, and I told her if she wants us to be poor so much, then she can pay her own rent from now on. She called me an a-hole when she realized I was serious. She went to our aunts, and they are on her side. This one was labeled everyone sucks here, but I actually don't think OP has done anything wrong. In my eyes, they sound like a great parent. They did everything that they possibly could and worked hard to provide a better life for their kids. OP's daughter just sounds extremely jealous and extremely ungrateful, and that's something she should probably go to therapy for. Having your parents pay for both your college and your rent is a luxury most people don't get to experience. So the fact that she's reacting like this tells me that there is a flaw in her character, and OP is fully in their rights to say, I am not going to support you if you're going to be ungrateful. As much as the daughter may not like it, honestly, might be what they need. Anyways, guys, that's all the Am I the A-hole posts I had for you today. New video coming out on Wednesday, so make sure to hit the subscribe button. Go watch another one of my videos here. Go watch my podcast here. I will see you guys next week.